Welcome to the SIWIKE Podcast, the only podcast that shares the stuff you didn't know you needed to know about jobs, careers, and life. The SIWIKE Podcast, the stuff I wish I knew earlier.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the SIWIKE Stuff I Wish I Knew Earlier, the podcast. I'm Lukey, and for today's question or today's topic, I wanted to go through what are some alternatives in terms of the job search process. The two main ones are going through the online application process in terms of submitting your resume and cover letter, and then hopefully getting an interview in that process. The second one, which I find is a much more higher probability of getting you something, is to network, to build meaningful connections. And another alternative is probably playing off of the networking one, but actually furthering that and really making that meaningful and adding value to their connections at the forefront of the interaction. So the recommendation that I would have is to pick your top companies. Pick all the companies that you think, you know what, my background, my experience, and the things that I've done in the past would add a lot of value to this particular company. And build a list of them. It might be 5, it might be 10 of those companies, whatever they are. And essentially what you want to do is reach out to various folks in the company and take a look at what they do, see if you can find out any challenges or obstacles that they have. And otherwise, think about how you could take your skills, take your experience, and add value to that particular person. So if, let's say, you were a marketer, right, trying to get into an introductory marketing role, and you connect with a company that you want to join, maybe someone in the marketing department, or maybe someone in a slightly different department. Connect with that person and essentially create a little project for yourself. So take an afternoon, take a weekend to come up with, well, what sort of marketing ideas, what sort of marketing strategies, what sort of marketing tactics might I do for this particular company? And if obviously you're not a marketer and you're a coder developer, or you're a copywriter, or if you're more on the business analysis or whatever, you use whatever skills that you have. And the whole point of this project is to showcase some of the work that you can do, right? It's not an exhaustive all the way to the end project, but it's showcasing some of the skills and expertise that you might have. So if you go back to the marketing context, you might create a bit of a marketing strategy and say, you know what, based on a brief inventory of what you could come up with, you were able to find all these different social media assets, and maybe putting some numbers together in terms of, well, how they fare compared to some of their competitors, right, in terms of number of followers, engagement, and things like that. And then a couple of recommendations in terms of how you would take whatever platform, so be it LinkedIn, be it Instagram, or be it a more traditional and not social and digital media asset, and how would you recommend that they move forward with it? And coming up with a few mock-ups, maybe some prototypes and things like that, to say, okay, this is the type of work that I could be and would be doing for you. So maybe a few sample posts, a few sample articles, a few sample whatever it is that you think you could add the most value, and showcase your quality and showcase the value that you can provide. And once you have that package together, again, it might take you half a day, it might take you a whole weekend, it might take you a whole week for one of these. You present it to the person that you're connecting with. Hopefully they're in the group, but if not, just say, hey, I was so interested in your company, I decided to do this for you. What do you think? And oftentimes folks will be really wowed with that, because, I mean, who actually does that? Who actually takes the effort to put in their own work without any thought of a job or whatever, and provide it to someone? And if that person does value it, well, they'll more likely than not going to send it to the right people in order to showcase, wow, I just received this from someone. We're not even looking to hire, but maybe we can find a way to leverage this person. Or when something comes up in a month, in a year or whatever, then we can make sure that we keep them in mind. And essentially you do that. And if they're willing to take it, get some feedback and learn from it. So if there were some comments to say, okay, yeah, this was great, and if you did this better, it would be that much more effective. And what you want to do is take that feedback and apply it into the next one that you do, and essentially do that again and again. So if you had 5 companies, 10 companies, you're doing these little projects. And you'll find that doing something like that will be much more effective than spending the next 5 weeks, 5 days, 5 months just randomly applying online, right? Because oftentimes the online process is a bit like playing the lottery. Networking is great because you get to build those meaningful connections, but it really depends on time, because oftentimes you won't have those kind of fast friends, and get a bit of luck in terms of finding people who are readily available to kind of refer you. So for that connection, that understanding of value that you can provide happens quicker when you actually do something for them. So it's through a project based on your understanding of the company, or based on something that they've mentioned in a conversation, to do that. So if you can manage some time and some effort, and you'll also find that as you do this, you'll get better and better and better, because when you do it for company one, it'll probably take a long time, right? But when you do it for company two, you'll find that maybe 20%, 30%, 50% is reusable, and you can just tweak it for this particular company, and you do it again and again. And then by the time you maybe get to the 10th company, then you're doing them so quickly that you might as well start a little business on the side on this. And what you're trying to do as well is to try to think about, okay, what value can I provide? And what you want to do is even practice articulating some of that in an interview question. So if you can demonstrate that for a particular client, you were able to do this, and whether they took it or not, it's better than having no work experience at all. And this is a great tactic or strategy for those who have no work experience, either those earlier in their career, or sometimes for newcomers as well, because they have experience, but they don't have local experience. They don't have Canadian experience, or whatever country that you're applying to. And oftentimes taking that effort to do it, it is an investment in your time, but is, in my opinion, a very worthwhile investment. And what you can also do is leverage other people that might not work for the company, maybe some mentors, maybe some advisors or peers, and ask them to review the content. And again, the goal of this is to showcase your talents, showcase your expertise, showcase what you can do with more and more people. And when you do that, then your reputation, your brand starts growing. And whether you know or not, people will be starting to talk about you and potentially recommend you for other roles and other positions. So that's just another way for you to kind of think outside of the box a little bit and demonstrate some value in order to land a job. And the goal and the intent of this is not to get a job. The goal and intent is for you to practice your craft, for you to get better, and for you to really connect with folks and show them what you can do. And as you do that, people will naturally want to hire you, because people want to hire not just the good people, they want to hire the great people. And they often don't know you're great unless they can actually see for themselves. So again, start with finding some companies that you want to join, connect with people in those companies, and either learning about their problems or the company as a whole, and then take half a day, take a weekend to do something in relation to that problem or that challenge or that opportunity that you can capitalize on, and then present it to them. And then after you present it to them, hopefully get some feedback, and maybe before you present it to them, get some feedbacks from some peers or from mentors, so you can show them what you can do, and then learn. Right? So when you get that feedback, make sure you incorporate that feedback into the next iteration and continue on that. So that's it for me in terms of this episode. And hopefully you enjoyed that SIWIKE, the stuff I wish I knew earlier. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining us on the SIWIKE, Stuff I Wish I Knew Earlier, the podcast. If you like the podcast, please subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you found this podcast. And if you can give us a review, that would be very appreciated. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn at Lukidanu, Lukidanu, and the same on most social media platforms. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.